What's up, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Michigan Recruiting Report. I am your host, EJ Holland. Today, we're going to be breaking down 5 key Michigan recruits I saw on the road last week. Before we do that, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel for free. And also, if you aren't a member of the Wolverine.com and you want premium insider recruiting information, plus coverage of the team all season long and a great message board community, you can head over to the Wolverine.com, subscribe today, use the promo code UM1. That's $1 for 2 months using the promo code UM1. All right, guys. So like I said, I'm going to be breaking down 5 key recruits I saw on the road last week. And we'll start off on the offensive side of the ball with top 100 2026 running back Savon Haider. Savon Haider is one of my personal favorite recruits in the 2026 class and one of Michigan's most important targets for next cycle. He's a top 30 recruit in the country, and Michigan is definitely high on his list, recently made his top 5. So it was great watching Savon Haider on Friday night. I had seen him live a few times in the past, but this was my first time seeing him in game, and he was extremely impressive. I was actually seeing Kinoa Winston, who we'll talk about later. Earlier that afternoon, Winston had a 4 p.m. game. Haider had a 7:30 p.m. game, so I thought I'd double up. I got to Haider's game 17 minutes late. Kickoff was at 7:30. I got there at 7:47, was on the field at 7:47. In those 17 minutes, Haider ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was standing on that sideline for about 15 more minutes, and he ran, or he had another 150 yards of total offense and 2 more touchdowns, and then they ran the clock. So he finished with 250 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns. I mean, easy day at the office. Haider is every down back. He's a guy that's fantastic between the tackles. He's extremely durable, strong kid, physical runner. Also starts at linebacker. He brings that mentality over to the offensive side of the ball, kind of like Kalel Mullings. But he also has a pass-catching skill set in the mold of Donovan Edwards. He scored on a 63-yard wheel route. He's a guy that can catch passes out of the backfield. He can line up at receiver. Again, he's the total package, man. It's really, really impressive to see him in pads and knowing that he's a 26 prospect, not a 2025, man. I think he's going to have a really strong argument to be a 5-star and would be a fantastic land for Michigan. He's already visited Michigan twice. He's planning to be on campus a 3rd time later this month for the game against Michigan State. I think Michigan is right up there. Like I said, they made his top 5. I think Georgia is up there, Penn State, Tennessee, Ohio State are the other schools in the mix, but Michigan doing a fantastic job thanks to Tony Alford in the recruitment of Savon Haider. Let's go ahead and move on to the wide receiver position, and we're going to stay in Virginia and stay at the same high school as Haider and talk about Daer Carter. Now, Daer Carter is an interesting recruitment. Like I said, he is a teammate of Savon Haider. He picked up an early offer from Michigan, and he surprised a lot of people by committing to Rutgers, of all places, in the summer. Now, I don't think this recruitment is over. He is a top 100 wide receiver or a top 100 recruit nationally per On3 and just outside of the top 100 on the industry ranking. I think that Michigan and other schools have a chance to get him to take some other visits. And if he does make a visit to Michigan, I think that, they'll be right around the top of his list, especially with Haider, right in the mix for the Wolverines. I think they'll have a legitimate chance to land Carter as well. So just because he's an early commit to Rutgers doesn't mean that I think this recruitment is over. I think Michigan can definitely work its way into the picture. In fact, Carter was supposed to visit for the barbecue at the Big House and then canceled because he committed to Rutgers. So again, if he does visit other schools, I would expect Michigan to get a trip. Let's talk about, let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball and talk about on 300 edge Carter Meadows out of Washington, D.C. Gonzaga, which is the same school as Kinoa Winston. It also produced Evan Link. So Michigan's had success at Gonzaga, and I think they're right in the mix for Carter Meadows in the 26 class. He's a 4-star edge. Penn State is considered the leader on the On3 recruiting prediction machine, but I would say Michigan is right up there, especially after his recent visit for the game against USC. Meadows is a really intriguing recruit, 6'6", 220 pounds, really tall, lanky kid, really high-level basketball player as well, plays on the AAU circuit for Team Takeover, which is one of the premier teams on the East Coast. So there's a lot to like about Carter Meadows. I think he needs to fill out his frame and improve from a technical standpoint, but he's a guy that could shoot up in the rankings. And like I said, Michigan made a strong impression. There's ties to Gonzaga. So yeah, a lot of upside here with Carter Meadows. We'll stick on the defensive side of the ball and stick at Gonzaga and talk about new linebacker offer, Tyson Harley. So Tyson Harley is not rated at this point. Michigan just offered him last month. His profile is completely blank. No stars from anybody, no profile picture. But yet Michigan has the lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine. And he was really impressive when I saw him live on Friday afternoon. I think right now Harley might be a better player than Meadows, but Meadows obviously has a much higher ceiling. With Harley, he's 6'2", 220. He didn't really play a linebacker. He actually played more of an edge position. Chase Taylor is who Harley reminds me of. Chase Taylor is obviously Michigan's commit in the 2025 recruiting class, who's kind of a hybrid linebacker edge. I think Chase Taylor will probably end up at edge at Michigan, and I could see Tyson Harley being an edge at the next level as well, kind of being a Jalen Harrell type of player. So he's definitely a sleeper that I think will rise in the rankings and get star ratings and all of that good stuff soon. Again, he's in the 26 class, just like Meadows. Let's go to the 25 class and talk about on 300 Michigan defensive back commit Kinoa Winston. So Winston entered the season as my highest graded Michigan defensive commit, and that hasn't changed. He had a great game, half a dozen tackles, an interception, played a lot of quarterback on the offensive side of the ball and rushed for 95 yards and a touchdown. You know, he's a big reason Gonzaga came away with a win last week. He committed to the Wolverines in June. It's been pretty quiet since then, mostly because he's completely solid. He was back on campus for the game against USC. He's looking to return in November, so nothing to worry about in terms of his recruitment. You know, Winston's a shorter guy at 5'10", 185 pounds. That 5'10.5" listing might be a little generous, but man, he plays much bigger than his size. He played around the line of scrimmage a lot. He was in the box. He was physical. He was disrupting plays. Really good run stopper. The opposition really only threw in his vicinity like once or twice, and the one time they did earlier in the game, it resulted in the interception. He's just a really fun player. He doesn't have outstanding measurables, but I think I likened him to former All-Pro Bob Sanders. Like, he's just a really tough, physical, instinctual guy. And, you know, I think the assumption was that Kinoa Winston would play nickel at Michigan in the same mold as Mike Sainristil still, but he has a different build. He's really compact. He weighs more. He's more muscular. He's a guy much like Bob Sanders, really. So I think Michigan is now veering more towards him being a safety as opposed to a nickel, which isn't a bad idea. But I'm really high on Kinoa Winston. Just, again, really, really fun player to watch, locked in with Michigan, and also a team captain at Gonzaga, which is an elite school, both from a football and academic perspective. So he should be a great culture fit at Michigan. So again, that's 5 recruits I saw on the road last week. I'll be back on the road this week, and we'll do it again. So make sure to tune in next week. Also, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel for free, and take advantage at thewolverine.com. Use that promo code UM1. That's $1 for 2 months. Use that promo code UM1. And again, guys, we'll see you again next week.